Now, Konami are a classic video game studio responsible for games like Castlevania, cult classics like Suikoden. Also, that big cult classic series that's huge in both Japan and the West, Metal Gear Solid. And Metal Gear is one of those international franchises that everyone's excited for. And then they announced a new Metal Gear game. And it's like, yeah, sweet. Except for the bit where Kojima's gone. He's doing some silly thing with Norman Reedus. And then no one else really stayed on. But then what we've done is we made it a survival game. And we've completely, basically removed everything that was to do with the canon story. So why is it called a Metal Gear game, Shane?
Oh, Metal Gear Acid. Oh, I know what you went to.
But that was a good game.
Yeah, and it's probably, actually had some good people developing it.
Yeah.
But no, Metal Gear Survive.
Yes, it is definitely something.
It is something.
Look, let's be clear. Metal Gear Solid 5 had its problems. I love the series, everything about it. The Metal Gear Solid 5 game was awful. And if you say otherwise, I think you're basically just an apologist at this point. But what was not awful about the Metal Gear Solid 5 game was the gameplay itself. And that at least carries over to Metal Gear Survive.
That's probably basically because it's on the Fox engine, which is one of the most well-developed engines, maybe not ever, but very well developed.
Yeah.
And it works really well with the survival kind of gameplay.
Yeah.
It's much more melee weapon heavy, which feels a little bit weird on the Fox engine, but there's some real cool things that you can actually do with it.
Yeah.
And it's still got that really cool movement options with the humans and stuff like that.
Well, because that was always the thing. The physics weren't the problem. The physicality was never really the issue in that. It just comes down to what's driving that experience. And while that gameplay can carry it to a certain extent, I mean, why is it still called a Metal Gear game? I think that's the biggest point.
That is indeed the biggest point, and probably the biggest weakness. Just those first two words in its title is if they just made it called Survive, or I don't know, anything else, how to. I know they can't do.
No, they can't do that. It's a different thing.
But no, Survive, just Survive. It would have came through a lot better, and maybe if you just focus a little bit on the lesson of the story, because yes, it does incorporate some Metal Gear elements, but it's really not that.
It's not.
Good.
You get sucked through a black hole, and then. All this weird stuff happens. Now you're fighting zombies. You just can't win. I don't know. I think, the core gameplay is survival based. It's about building your assets, building things similar to what basically the gameplay of Metal Gear 5 was. Let's be real.
It's like that, but then there's also more elements of actually growing your own food, some water supply, cleaning the water.
It's a little bit State of Decay in that sense.
State of Decay, yeah, very much survival game. It's in its name. But the problem is there is a phantom pain there because it's almost like a limb's chopped off from the Metal Gear series.
Yeah, people know what phantom pain means.
Yeah.
Anyway, but it really does seem like it's one of those things that is actually hampered by the name attached to it. I think in and of itself, the game isn't that bad, even if the story is absolute garbage.
Yeah.
The gameplay was never the problem with the Metal Gear, with the Fox engine, and I guess it's just going to be sad that it's always going to be relegated to soccer games from now on.